If this is your first visit, welcome. Hi, I'm Megan, and I'm fascinated by how we make sense of what we know and do so that we can build a life that matters. That's why this channel is a space for us to apply various tools and techniques that help us take one meaningful action to connect with who we want to be. If that sounds good to you, come on in. And if you like this video, it would mean so much if you like and subscribe so that you can see more videos like this every month. Come on in. In this video, I want to show you not one, not two, but 3 ways that you can adapt the bullet journal log technique to Notion. This one's going to be short and sweet, so let's dive in. I really like bullet journaling, and I really love Notion. But I tried to keep a physical journal for a while, and I just couldn't keep up with the different collections and migrating between pages, and I couldn't read my own handwriting after a while. But I really appreciate Ryder Carroll's emphasis on mindfulness and intentionality and slowing down long enough to consider what it is you really want and need to be working on. So that's why I decided I wanted to try to adapt this log technique to a digital method like Notion. And let's be real, sometimes you just need a digital tool that's easier to carry around on your phone than it is to carry a notebook around. So let's try it out. Today, I'm using Notion, but you can also use this idea in any digital tool that enables a Kanban board. I won't go into how you can do this without digital tools because, hey, Ryder Carroll already did that. I'm going to assume you already know the basics of bullet journaling, but I will link some of the official BuJo resources below. I'm also going to assume you have a basic knowledge of how to use Notion, so I won't spend a ton of time showing you how to construct the database and layout views that I mentioned. One of the concepts I really appreciate from the bullet journal method is the log, future, monthly, daily, etc. I find it a really helpful way to group ideas, actions, and opportunities, especially when I need to close some mental loops. I use the future log for things that I both know about and things that I'm just thinking about. In the OG method, moving items between specific logs is called migration. Now, I use the monthly log a little differently from the OG method. Instead of using it as a reflective tool, I use it for activating things from the future log. So when I'm ready to do a thing, I move it from future log to this month. The last 2 categories I have in my digital bullet journal log are completed, self-explanatory, and shelved, for things that have either expired or that just don't get me excited or interested anymore. In an analog bullet journal, it's the practice of rewriting the same thing over and over again that forces us to consider whether or not that thing is important enough to actually do. In a digital bullet journal practice, if the thing has been sitting in the future log for a couple of months or longer, it might be time to shelve it. The simplest way to do this in Notion is with the use of headers, columns, a template button, and to-do blocks. You'll set up 4 columns, drop in your to-dos, and then drag and drop each to-do block to the appropriate column when you're ready to activate them. When you're done, you can drag and drop them to your appropriate column here. And if you have an idea that doesn't fit in anymore, you can drag it over here. When you're done, if you want to keep an archive so that you can review your ideas, actions, and events at the end of the month, you can create a separate page that you can drag and drop these into. You will just select those 3 columns, drag them in there, and now you have a clean slate. To set up for the next month, this is where you use your template button. Drag and drop your column headers, your new month, and then activate new ideas. Easy peasy. I hate having free-range blocks running loose in your Notion workspace. You can use a single database, such as actions or tasks, with the following core properties. You'll want your title. You'll want a due date, which is a date property. You'll want your log, which is a select or a status property. And you'll want progress, which would also be a select or a status property. When you're ready to activate something from your future log, you set up a board view on one side of the screen and drag and drop into the appropriate column. If something is done, you can move it over there. If something is shelved, move it into there. And if you have meetings, drag and drop those. When you're ready to schedule them, you can inset another view of the same database, a weekly or a monthly view. And when you have your actions for the month queued up, you can drag and drop them into your weekly view on the due date. This allows you to keep all of your actions, tasks, event, and everything grouped in a database for easy reference, assigning, and review. Also pretty easy. Say you've got multiple commitments on your plate or lots of projects in the queue. Your future log is getting long, and a lot of your actions or tasks could really be grouped together. If you want to put this log idea on steroids, you can add a second database for commitments. That's what I call projects. The second database has these core properties. Your title, a DUE, due date, which would be a date property, select property for status, with the ideas that could be in your queue and where they are. And you'll want to add an actions database, an actions property to relate to your actions database. In your actions database, you will want to add another property for roll-up for status of your commitments. That way it will pull in the status of the commitment that the action is related to. You'll then want to set up a view so you can have a view that looks something like this. Here you will have possible commitments in your queue. You will be able to see what's next and what's active. You'll then want to set up a view of your actions database with a filter that shows only actions related to commitments that are active. So you can see we have big project number 1, that's active. But as we decide we want to queue up and move from next to active projects, we will start moving those projects between statuses. And as we do that, we'll start seeing actions that show up in our future log that are related now to our active commitments. And then as we're ready to do them in the month, we can move them over here. And just like we did in the simple database way, we can set up another final view of our actions database with a weekly view that we can then drag and drop and schedule these things to be done. This has the benefit of showing you only the things most relevant to you right now, while helping you close your mental loops by keeping all future commitments and actions tucked away in the background. Here's the deal. When I experiment with systems, tools, and techniques, I try to see how they fit into CEDAR. CEDAR is a framework I've developed that helps collect what resonates, explore its significance, discern what matters, act with purpose, and reflect on what we've learned. We can use CEDAR to define the function of our digital tools, make an important decision, organize a research project, or identify where we are in a process or situation. Whether we make a new commitment, pursue a goal, or just review our day, we always need to collect, explore, discern, act, and reflect. That's why I find that adapting the bullet journal log to Notion is a great technique to use in the ACT stage of CEDAR. So there you go. 3 ways you can adapt the bullet journal log technique to Notion. I so hope that one of these is helpful for you. If you try them out, drop a comment below and let me know how it works for you. You can also check my website, www.r215coaching.com, for more information about CEDAR. You can sign up for my newsletter, and you can see what other offerings I have available come in the future. Until next time, shalom.